Hello and welcome back to the Weekend Spread. I'm your host, Bobby Howard. With me today, we've got Jameson Maxwell, Ty Lee, and the captain himself, Bolton Blake. You are listening to the Schooner Pod's weekly college football pick'em show. And boys, it is genuinely kind of hard to believe we're at week 8. We're halfway through the season, pretty much, for most teams in the country. And we've seen some pretty wild shakeups. James Franklin out at Penn State. Obviously old news for the world, but we haven't been able to really talk about it on the Weekend Spread. We've seen some lows for some teams, seen some highs. Kind of crazy college football year all around, though. I feel like we haven't had a dull week yet.
Yeah, Ty, I'm going to give you just the floor now to talk about Penn State because I don't even think we need small talk right now.
Yeah, I will say I was surprised that they fired James Franklin. After all of the ups and downs that they've had with him, I personally was shocked that he was fired in the manner that he was and when he was. And like, I'll tell you guys right now, I'm a Penn State hater, but I'm not going to get on here and toot my own horn and say that I thought that they would lose to UCLA and stuff. So I do want to say, though, preseason, I did say that if I could take Penn State under 8.5 wins, I would, but I was forced to pick them under 10.5. And it's good to see that that's going to cash. Definitely not in the manner that I thought it was going to, but interesting times at Penn State. I think this is going to be the first time a coach has left in this manner at a program this well funded in this era of college football. So I'm very on the edge of my seat to see how that develops, and I think a lot of people around the nation are, particularly athletic departments and boosters.
But I ain't going to want to watch that Iowa game this weekend. No. I'll check the box score after.
Yeah, I was going to run the score up on him and win by 3.
Oh my God. That's like honestly so gross. But like you're right. Like college football has been a really fun year. And obviously as Sooner fans, we're kind of in a dark space right now. But I mean, it's pretty damn entertaining. And I mean, like this week's too. Like there's plenty of rivalry games this weekend to where we can kind of feed back some energy and really get a fun slate.
Yeah, I'm very excited for some of the, like we got UWU versus BYU up there. We've got some awesome rivalries we're about to dive into.
Yeah, no, it's a good like kind of secondary rivalry weekend. You know, you're kind of hit when you hit that mid-season, you know, kind of space where you don't get like the kind of crazy, you know, November ones where it's all in-state rivals. This is a sweet spot. I will say Utah BYU should be on Thanksgiving. It's kind of insane the Big 12 didn't set it up that way, but regardless, I'm happy to kind of get some crumbs in the middle here.
Who does TCU play on Thanksgiving, Blake?
Cincinnati.
Oh, what is the Big 12 doing?
We played Baylor like once or twice on like Thanksgiving weekend, but I guess I don't know what the reasoning is. Like I guess the potential of them playing each other in the championship is there each year, but who cares? Like
if you're a conference, you have to, if you're not going to give someone a rival, you have to give them like the closest possible team, just to make it an easier holiday on people. Like that's such a crazy, like you guys can go to Ohio.
I will say a little selfishly, I'm kind of glad this one's not on Thanksgiving just because like so many kids leave TCU and we're mostly out of state now. So our student section would be looking pretty bad. And that's like the only people that are showing up to these games, it feels like these days. So
well, let's get into the picks.
Yeah, Bobby, where are you? We need you, Bobby.
Bobby is nonverbal on the podcast.
I'm not gonna lie, I was sharing this on Facebook, and I was listening to several moments of the past version of ourselves on accident instead of real life. So yeah, let's get into the picks.
We all looked at Bobby and this dude's scared.
It's like Bobby seen a ghost.
It's been a long week.
Teeing it up for him, and then he didn't swing, and we're like, all right, give him another one right down the middle. Right.
When Ty turns into the host of this podcast, we're like,
Congrats. I leave for 5 seconds and Ty is usurped. Let's get this. Let's get the pod on the road. Get to picking here. So our order, by by the standings. Jameson in the lead with just an unbelievable heater, 46 and 28, right? I believe. If I recall
Yes.
That's what it said.
7
I
and 3
forgot
last week.
He can't read these things. I can
It's,
read it.
it's
for
from
you,
a
Bobby.
distance. I pulled it up closer. We're good.
Okay. Cool.
7 and 3. You're honestly just nailing 7 and 3s every single week. It's an unbelievable hot streak. Bowden Blake second at 42 and 32 with a 500, 5 and 5 last week. Ty at third at 37 and 38 after a 2 and 8 week. We've all had
should have been 0 for 10.
look, bad weeks happen to a lot of us, and I'm last, but look, I'm not too far off from Ty at 36 and 39. Would have liked to have a little bit better of a 5 and 5 week, but finally hit another wild card. So, look,
Boys.
just slow and steady, plenty of time to make a comeback.
Every week, Bobby's been at the bottom. He always has an excuse attached to it every single time.
I don't have an excuse. I just wish it would have.
The worst. It's not the worst thing ever.
You didn't have the worst last week, so
The problem is I've been 5 and 5, 5 and 5, 5 and hot 5, and then I had a hellish week, and that's how it's reflecting. So it's been like kind of sitting at 500, haven't been able to break free, and you just try to do the best you can. So.
Yeah, and I'll give you your roses here when we get to wild card.
Okay, well, I'm sure you will. Thank you. So
stay
let's kick
tuned for the next hour and a half for Bobby to get his roses in the last 30 seconds.
That's right, all you Bobby fans out there. You're finally going to see your boy get a little bit of praise.
Oh man, is there like a team Bobby
bobbleheads? Is that the name of my fan group?
I think
Bobbleheads.
Your fandom should be the bobbleheads. That's a good one.
I kind of like it. I kind of like it. Gotta give me some like Connor Roy from Succession. The con heads type of vibe. Let's move on. Let's move on to our first game. This is a very Big 12 SEC heavy slate. So this is our only non-Big 12 or SEC game on the menu today, but it's a big one. A great rivalry. USC ranked 20th in the country, 5-1, 3-3 against the spread. Heading to South Bend to take on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, 13th in the country, 4-2 overall, and 3-3 against the spread. Irish, a 9.5-point favorite at home. You can find this one 6:30 p.m. Central on NBC and Peacock. Jameson, kick us off here. Who do you like?
So this line is inflated to the fact that USC on the road did not show out versus Illinois, and people are scared if they're not playing at home, they might do poorly, as well as Notre Dame at home has looked really damn good recently. I've honestly been thoroughly impressed about their way to bounce back from that tough Texas A&M ending, and has really shown, especially Arkansas is on the road, but like playing Boise and holding them to 7, holding NC State to 7 as well. Like those are really good quality wins, and Notre Dame's putting a good resume right now together in the way that they're playing and the quality. But I think that whenever you talk about this home and away and all this stuff, I think you throw that out because this is a rivalry game. This is a game that people do care about. And I think the way that football that USC is playing right now, I've been really impressed with. I mentioned this guy in the last pod, and he continued to show out in that Michigan game. Mekhi Lemon, I think if I am going to the NFL draft right now, I might pick him WR1. Like this dude looks so freaking good. Like just like there's so many intangibles, and there's so much with the eye test that just looks like this guy will continue to be dominant in college football, and they're getting him the ball in a hefty amount. I think USC makes enough plays here to keep the game close and cover the spread at 9.5.
Yeah, this spread has me a little bit worried. This feels like one of those that when I saw it, I didn't believe my eyes, which makes me try to lean towards Notre Dame. But I just can't do it. Like the way in which I see Notre Dame is like they had 2 legit opponents. Their defense couldn't stop a nosebleed to start the year. And yes, they have had some impressive performances, but I'm not very high on NC State, nor am I Boise State, especially when it comes to offenses that is really going to put the pressure on them. USC, I wouldn't say has the best defense either. So I feel like this is just going to be the tale of 2 offenses. And so probably take the over on this one. But if I'm going to have to choose a side, I think it's going to be pretty fast paced. I think the ball's going to be slung at like everywhere. Even if Notre Dame wins this, I think they only win it by close. I'm taking the plus 9.5. Yeah, I've been very impressed. Like USC has a chance still, I think, for an at-large playoff spot. They can kind of be that 4th Big Ten team. Yeah, like very much in the race. So give me USC.
Yeah, like Jameson said, Lemon actually is, if you look at the box scores, even he's passing the eye test. He's also, I think, the best receiver in the nation by several categories. If you look at just the stats as well. That being said, Notre Dame does have a pretty solid defender. I think one of the better cornerbacks in the nation. Golden, I believe, is his name, which is fitting for Notre Dame. But one thing that jumped out to me, because again, I do expect that this is going to be kind of an offensive battle, like you guys have mentioned. USC, not awesome defensively, top 25 in the nation for sacks. They're nowhere near top 25 for pressure. But when they get back there, and they finish the job, probably because of some of the quarterbacks they've faced. But I think that could be crucial in a game like this. Just a big sack or a big pressure or something like that can be such a game deciding thing if you have a game where you're really not able to shut down that defense, or that offense. So I'm going to go ahead and ride with USC. Do they win it? I don't know. I know it's a rivalry, but going to Notre Dame, and I'm not trying to disrespect USC fans. I doubt there's going to be very many USC fans in the stadium. I think it's going to be a pretty friendly environment for Notre Dame. So I think that does have to factor into the rivalry. It's not a neutral site, but I like USC plus 9.5 for sure. This one would worry me around the 6.5 mark, but yeah, USC 9.5 all day.
Yeah, this is a game I was hoping I could catch some of y'all on, but y'all went the way I was going. So
he finally does it.
USC's the play here. 9.5 is way too many points. I think the Trojans do enough to keep it close. I was really impressed with them against Michigan. That's a good football team, and you got to give it up to Lincoln Riley. He's found a way to like put things together out in Southern California, and I think that's a solid team. And 9.5, just way too many points, I think, because I think Notre Dame probably still finds a way to win this one. It's going to annoy the hell out of me because then you start the whole Notre Dame, playoff run with 2 losses situation. So USC might be one of the few teams that can kind of stop them on the way there, but I think they're definitely going to cover 9.5. I don't know what Vegas is thinking here, which usually is a bad sign, but
that's a really bad sign.
I know, but Notre Dame, I feel like, has really feasted on some, kind of weak opponents with, names that you recognize, but aren't actually good football teams. And I like USC to keep this thing close.
USC wins this game, though, they're probably going to be a 2-loss team too.
Right, but you still have to go through and play, hypothetically play Ohio State, and you have a tough schedule. Like, and you still have to play in a conference championship game.
Yeah,
Notre Dame doesn't have that, and that's the thing. Mm-hmm. Is there more pitfalls?
Would they still make it to the Big Ten championship game if they lost to Oregon?
I don't think they would.
No, but but there's an Oregon on the slate, though, is what I'm saying. Like Notre Dame doesn't really have that down the way.
You guys are forgetting that this game is to fatten up USC so that they can be fed to Nebraska as a key Nebraska win for Nebraska's playoff run.
Well, I would actually enjoy seeing that.
I mean, if you look at Nebraska's schedule, it's not impossible.
I don't know, dude. Nebraska,
the second toughest team they have left.
That loss to Michigan, I think, is going to just age so poorly. I talk about something that was so horrible on the podcast. I think, was it last week when we were talking about Michigan actually being, or somebody, I think it was Bobby, saying Michigan is way better than they were versus OU. Nope. Sharon Moore's a joke.
They are better. But everything.
Yeah, they're still bad. They're still bad.
Yeah, but legitimately, if it wasn't for a 75-yard touchdown run from a defense who doesn't get their plays in on time, that is no touchdown game for Oklahoma, Michigan.
Right. Agreed. All right, let's move to the Big 12. Massive game here for some conference implications. It's a 7th-ranked Texas Tech Red Raiders who are 6-0 overall and against the spread. One of the only teams in the country, I might add, to be undefeated in both categories. Heading to Tempe to take on the Arizona State Sun Devils, 4-2 after a tough game in Salt Lake City with no Levitt. They're 3-3 against the spread. And by the way, you're going to hear that a lot. There are a lot of teams that are 3-3 against the spread. It's really funny how everyone's just kind of right in the middle. Tech is a 7.5 point favorite. This line is slid down over the week with some news that Levitt has been practicing, the quarterback out of Arizona State. So he might give it a go. We'll see. You can find this one 3:00 Central on Fox. So kind of an early start time out in Arizona, because y'all that's what 1 or 2 hours behind, or
That'd be a 1 p.m. kick, right?
Yeah.
that's
good
1
time.
p.m. Yeah, y'all are weird with the whole daylight savings time thing. I'll kick it off in this one. So this wasn't on the slate until a little later today, and I think I got accused of putting it on here for nefarious reasons.
Yes, because I have to beg to get games on the slate these days, and then I don't even say a peep about this one, and it just magically got inserted. Just magically. And we don't even know he's practicing.
You made a
don't know if
peep.
he's gonna play.
Like, you made a peep. You said that this was a pretty big game for Big 12 implications earlier in the week.
But I'm not choosing it if Jeff Sims has a 1% chance of playing. I kind of want to abstain from this one. So.
No, dude.
Well, you can't.
Levitt's probable now. Probable. You know how many people don't play whenever they're probable, especially on Wednesday? Like, Levitt's playing. There's 0% chance he's not.
Levitt's going to play. So I didn't put it on for nefarious reasons, because I probably would have had Texas Tech -7.5 as my wild card, because the Red Raiders are an unstoppable force that are just going to steamroll over everybody in the Big 12. I truly believe that. It has played out that way so far. And, I think the environment in Tempe, it's going to be tough. I think Arizona State, though, they're a solid team. They're not what they were last year. And even if they were who they are last year, Texas Tech is one of the teams that beat Arizona State. Keep in mind. A lesser Texas Tech, I might add. I think the Red Raiders go in here, get a comfortable win. Levitt might not be 100%. And if it's Jeff Sims, money in the bank, man. So Texas Tech's the move.
Look, I knew that Texas Tech had a massive NIL purse this year, but I did not know that they had enough to bag out Bobby as well and get him to sing their praises on this podcast. So that's shocking to me, but this one pains me to say, but I don't think Levitt really makes that big of a difference for 7.5 in this one. I don't think Texas Tech is as amazing as people think, and I'm not trying to diminish the Big 12 here. Extremely competitive league. They're producing a lot of stuff. I just think that Texas Tech is one of those teams that's going to be really solid and then have a very tough postseason because they've never really been tested. This ASU team, I've watched all their games this year. I just have not seen a team from my beloved Sun Devils, Forks Up, that is going to be competitive against this Texas Tech team. I was at that TCU game that ASU won, but that was like weird weather. It was a blackout game at night, like a tremendous fan atmosphere. Like, there was a lot of stuff going for the Sun Devils in that one. I just don't see it in this one. I'm looking at tickets right now, and frankly, I don't know that a lot of ASU fans do either. As big as this game is, it's a $30 get-in price and $40 to be in the lower bowl in some areas. So it's not. I don't expect that that's going to be sold out, especially at 1 o'clock, although it shouldn't be hot this Saturday, knock on wood. But yeah, unfortunately, I got to stop filibustering and I got to ride with Tech -7.5 in this one. I think if Tech comes out and is 80% of what we've seen from them all year, I just don't see how ASU is going to continue to string together the magic that they have, like in that TCU game. So go ahead and give me the Red Raiders. We're thankfully not using their new updated modernized logo without the bevels, but Tech 7.5.
I like the non-beveled logo.
What?
Okay, they definitely bagged you out. They definitely bagged you out.
What? I'm glad they leveled the bevel.
Internet. That's not a Tech fan saying that.
I think it looks nice. I like it. It's classic.
Okay. Texas Tech, Arizona State. I want to ask Bobby. Bobby is so I hate it. I like I said, I have to beg to get games that actually have like college playoff implications on to the slate. It never happens. I get time limited for my picks for those. Like I have to get so many restrictions in order to get them on the slate. And then Bobby just flips this one immediately, even before I think the probable. Like we heard Sam Levitt was practicing, but we heard like the probable news later in the day, and this guy's already inserted it on the slate. The money of Cody Campbell is going deep. He's definitely got Bobby in his pocket. He's definitely probably has the Big 12 office in his pocket as well, for the fact that they have just been given the world's easiest schedule that I've ever seen like this entire year. Like they were basically set up that even if they were league average, they would probably make the Big 12 championship because they would only lose once or twice. This is their second hardest game they have to play, and they have to play really nobody after this. It's like it's just BYU at home, and we will get to BYU in a second. But I'm gonna go Arizona State. I think if somebody got to do it, and it's going to be this Arizona State team. Somebody has to beat this Tech team, put them in their rightful place. I think the coaching matchup is extremely weighted towards Kenny Dillingham. Like I've never seen a bigger coaching discrepancy in my life between Kenny Dillingham and Joey McGuire. Like Joey McGuire is just some little like PR press boy that they just put up in that box. He really can't do a whole lot of coaching at all. We'll see it. Like Tech is going to probably make the Big 12 championship, and who knows what happens there. But even if they get an at-large playoff spot in the playoffs, we're going to see them get absolutely annihilated when they have to put their brains to use, which is just like a common thing I feel like Tech and Tech grads can't seem to do. So I am going to go ASU Sun Devils plus the 7.5. Sam Levitt to ball out. Little worried that it's a lower body injury, and I think Arizona State's most effective when he has his legs running around, kind of being fearless. He might be a little fearful, but yep, I'm going to go Arizona State plus 7.5.
Dude, Blake just gave the argument of why you do not pick Arizona State in this. It is Sam Levitt in Arizona State. They go by how good Levitt can extend the play. And whenever you're going against Texas Tech's defense, which they got some absolute dudes out there on defense, and you can hate on Texas Tech, but like David Bailey is an absolute dude. Romello Hyde is a dude. Like Jacob Rodriguez is a dude. Like, and like all like the linebacker and then the pass rush, like it's going to make his job really, really hard trying to get out of the pocket. And if Jordan Tyson's not open, it's going to be a bad day for Arizona State. I really like Texas Tech here too, and I like that Blake decided to go hater pick here because we needed it.
Oh yeah, well, it's good for the drama, and it's like we poisoned the water hole on this one. And
all Blake did was look at the gap between his win-loss and mine, and he's like, "Yeah, I can lose one on principle here."
Dude, it's like if you're coming back, like whenever your foot was all taped up, like it was. I don't know. They haven't really said what it is, but like there's a big tape job. So this is either an ankle or like especially if it's a foot, I do not feel good about Sam Levitt. So I tried to scour to figure out what the exact diagnosis is, but I can't find anything.
Do you know, Bobby, what this line opened as?
The first time I saw it, it was 11.5. And
that is crazy how bad Jeff Sims is. A like 5 or 6 point swing is insane. Like,
yeah. Hey Blake, who's the quarterback for Texas Tech again?
No. I'm not playing your little games. The Riddler. No.
All right, let's move on to our next Big 12 matchup. It's the 23rd ranked Utah Utes, 5-1 overall and against the spread, heading to Provo in the Holy War to take on the BYU Cougars, 15th in the country. They are 6-0, 4-2 against the spread, but they do not know that. Utah favored by 3.5. You can find this one 7 p.m. Central on Fox. Jameson, who do you like?
I think Utah is starting to put their pieces back together, and it's a team that whenever I watch them play, I feel a little bit more confident than this BYU team. I think this is a game that I stay away and just enjoy the rivalry of this. But I think when it comes down to it, like if it's in Provo, is it, in Salt Lake, like, I get it. It's going to be like term environment, but these in-state rivals, like with these rivalry games, we say this all the time. You kind of throw things out and things can go either way. I really like Utah, and I think that their momentum's a little bit, in terms of my eye test, a little bit more palatable than BYU, but not a confident pick here.
Yeah, so Jameson was acting like, oh, wherever this is played, it doesn't matter. It absolutely does matter, because you have Rice Eccles on one hand, kind of anybody can go in there, have their way in that stadium. Really, nobody's fearful of going into Rice Eccles. And BYU actually scares me. Like, they have some voodoo magic going on there. They seem to always be, regardless of how bad that team is, that's what like keeps them in games. That's what always keeps BYU. They never really bottom out. Like, you see that, not like Utah. Utah bottomed out last year, like immediately once they got to the Big 12. I think these are two different environments. You're telling me I'm getting points with BYU at home. I gotta go with the Cougars. I love what I've seen from Kalani Sitake this year. Kind of identified it in the preseason, saying I didn't think they were going to do this well, but I was like, BYU's not going to bottom out without Jake Retzlaff. Like, he is not that important to what they are doing and how well they are coached. Like, they are just not going to bottom out just because their quarterback left. And they look probably even better with them. They look a little bit more consistent. I like what they've been doing in the run game. Although the scores haven't indicated it, I've kind of liked what I've seen from the defense. Like, a lot of the advanced analytics show that they have a really solid run and pass defense, just really no holes. I like that, especially with the Utah team, that it just has it feels like they're a little soft on defense. They're still a little soft on defense. I'm going to go BYU. I'm going to shock the world. BYU plus 3.5 at the Cougars at home. I think this one, if I'm making a dog parlay, this one's definitely getting thrown into the mix. So give me BYU.
I will say, for the past 5 times the game has been played in Provo, Utah won.
Doesn't matter.
No, Blake is right though. It's going into BYU night game. That's not an easy atmosphere. They've done some spooky things. Is it quote unquote voodoo magic that they have going on there? I think maybe they would be highly offended by that assertion. Perhaps, though. You never know. You can't discount it. But yeah, unfortunately, I generally lean towards BYU. I'm sympathetic towards them. I feel like I pick them more often than not. But this Utah team, I've seen it because I watched the game against ASU, and the schools are only 50 miles apart. I understand it's a sort of a hostile road environment. It's a big rivalry game. It is a tough place to play for other people. I'm not trying to diminish that, but it's like 50 minutes apart. You're in basically your same metro area. I just think that this Utah team is too solid. 3.5 is a lot for a game like this. Don't get me wrong, but I think this Utah team for me is too solid. I've got to go with some safe picks here and clean up this record. I am way too close to the bottom right now. So go ahead and give me the Utes minus 3.5 at this night game that I will be tuning into, I believe.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really fun one for sure. Anytime these two teams meet up, it's always intense. It's always interesting. Very diametrically opposed in terms of, attitudes, stuff like that. And it's going to be fun. I feel like, to me, when I look at both of these teams, I see one team that has been tested, that's been through the fire and the flames, and one team that has just kind of had some, decent, luck dealt to them in terms of their schedule and is untested. And to me, I just look at what BYU's done, their body of work, and I see a team that, 6-0, that's something to be proud of. They're clearly covering well. But I just don't feel like they've been this. I don't know. I just feel like they haven't been tested yet. And I think Utah, especially after surviving that Tech loss, having to look yourselves in the mirror and figure things out. I feel like Utah got better from that, and I feel like Dampier and everything Utah has going, it's trending in the right direction. So I like the Utes here. There's a reason they're a 3.5 point favorite on the road. I think LaVell Edwards Stadium is rocking, but I like Utah on the road. I will say Rice Eccles, banger of a road environment for sure. So like both of these environments are great. Look, you know who also went into Provo and got a big win? Jackson Arnold as a true freshman. So,
Bobby's
yeah.
talking about Utah being tested is just absolute wild. They played Tech and got demolished, and they haven't played anybody since. Nor before that. They played the really bad UCLA team, like the really bad one, before all the different shuffling of the chairs on the Titanic. Like
I don't think you can say either one has had stellar. I mean, like going into Arizona at BYU is kind of a hard game, but I don't think there's like too much here in terms of strength of schedule. But maybe that's just the Big 12 speaking, right, Bobby?
Well, I do think, Jameson, there's some value. I think there's some value in getting your face punched in and having to taste your own blood and sort of figure out like
why'd you say my name whenever you said, you know what, Jameson, I think there's some value to getting punched in the face
because you were talking to me last.
You know what, Jameson, this is the problem with your generation.
I realized that was a very poor thing to say.
I needed to be punched in the face.
No. Look, all I'm saying is just in general, you can learn from mistakes and you can learn from disaster. I feel like, well, yeah, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Is I think Utah has more. Their flaws have been exposed, and you can go back, work on them, improve. I don't think BYU can say the same. That's the one drawback to being undefeated in a way, is not knowing where your issues are.
Like, you really need to lose it. You need to lose a game bad in order to be a good team. You need to stop winning games. You need to lose one bad.
I'm not saying intentionally lose a game. I'm just saying that if there ever is a silver lining to taking a loss, it's finding out where you suck and improving on that. And trying to find ways to get better.
He's projecting. He's projecting.
I'm not projecting. I'm just
because you got your teeth kicked in too, like I did this last week. And you're trying to find the silver lining of how the season's going to get better when it feels like it's over. I'd rather be BYU right now and not TCU that got his teeth kicked in by lowly Kansas State.
I'm just being honest. Speaking of getting your teeth kicked in, let's move on to the Big 12's best rivalry, the Battle of the Blue Bonnets, baby.
Your sucky record means you're not actually studying tape or ball. You're just trying to do gimmicks and other things to try to bring people down to your level.
What did I do to you, Blake? What did I do to you?
You added Tech to the slate for no reason.
That's what you're upset about?
It was like 5 games ago.
That and the Blue Bonnets.
It's the name of the rivalry.
It is not. No.
And it's the only name of the rivalry we say on this podcast. That's the official marching orders from Baylor student government and their Etsy ass little shield trophy. It's the Baylor Bears 4-2, 1-5 against the spread somehow. Kind of shocking. Heading to Fort Worth to take on the TCU Horned Frogs. 4-2 overall, 3-3 against the spread. TCU favored by Tree Fitty. You can find this one 11 a.m. Central on ESPN2. What a banger. Yikes. This is tricky. I feel like both of these teams are at kind of inflection points. I think both teams would tell you that they wish they were at better spots, had better records. And I feel like a loss here could send one of these teams down a really, really dark, kind of path and firings, hot seats, all of this. Maybe not for Sonny Dykes. I don't know if the TCU fans are drumming that up outside of, Mr. Bowden Blake here in the bottom left. I like TCU to rebound. The K-State thing, ugly as hell, but that's a team that, apparently has some heart and soul to them, and they can kind of dig deep and figure things out. I think TCU will bounce back too. It's a rivalry game. It's at home. I like the Frogs here, but not by much.
Yeah, I like TCU minus 3.5. I'm going to cede some of my time to Blake because I would like him to take a quick moment to explain, I guess, like the lore of the naming of this game, because I understand it used to be called the Revivalry, but I don't actually know what that means. But I understand now. I guess it's named after like the ice cream brand because of woke. So
There's a popular figure in the religion of Christianity that got revived.
Ever heard of Leviticus?
Okay,
But
that makes sense. I wasn't
yeah.
making the Christian University connection for Baylor specifically. So
Well, you should.
That's
no,
somehow
it's not a bit. It's not a bit. It's not in the name. So I don't know about you guys, but I don't ponder Baylor daily. I think about them when they come up on the slate, or when I see RG3, or when I think about Brent Venables, because OU had never lost to Baylor until Brent Venables became RGC. But
Yeah, if you're on campus in Waco versus campus in Fort Worth, you'll tell the difference of what kind of religious university you're at.
yeah, I would just say I would never be on campus in Waco for any reason.
fair,
Just to
fair.
clarify.
So
No
I guess
no offense, Blake.
for most Americans that don't really care about two private schools in Texas rivalry with one another, it was always called the Revivalry. It's been played for a long time. It's like actually one of the longest played rivalries in sports, and it was called the Revivalry. We always called it the Revivalry because of the Christian school connection between the two. And then just like randomly out of the blue, like we didn't even have any forewarning of this, Baylor and TCU student government just like came together and created a new name for it called the Blue Bonnet Battle, and then created a trophy which is like Bobby described it best. It looks like it was bought off of Etsy, trying to mirror some like Chip and Joanna Gaines, like shiplap looking wood that has a circle on it. And you would just think, oh, the two are attached. And the piece of metal with all the blue bonnets on it, it's surely attached to the wood. No, it's a shield as well. It's a horrible trophy. It's one of the worst I've ever seen.
Can I ask real quick? Was there an old trophy that it replaced?
No, we never had a trophy, which I was fine with. And so
I like that though, because I was going to say you should rename it back to the Revivalry, and the trophy should be in a cave, and then you win and you go to the cave and then there's nothing in there.
That is actually one of your better jokes. But they that made me laugh.
Thank you.
I'm actually really sad about TCU football, so that actually made me happy. But the fans, like, there was like a fan made trophy immediately after this all happened, and the fan trophy was awesome. It was that sums it up perfectly of the type of people. Probably none of these people have been to a football game.
Oh God, here we go.
I have to, but we ended up with this. And so the fans made a trophy, and it's infinitely cooler. It was a bronze fire extinguisher, which makes sense because Baylor burned down TCU's campus when TCU was originally located in Waco. And that's what caused us to move to Fort Worth. So like the actual start of the rivalry, like that was a lot better. So, but now to the actual game itself, Bobby said it perfectly. These two teams have hit tough times, and I think most of us are mad already. So this would definitely send everything into like a complete utter chaos for a fan base. Like I think Bobby was saying, oh, we're not thinking about firing Sonny Dykes. I felt like I was one of the lighter ones on Sonny Dykes just because of the national championship and all that. But most people are on the fire Sonny Dykes train just because it's been a kind of consistent year after year. Like after the national championship, it's been soft O-line play. It's been poorly coached, very poorly coached teams. I was looking back at it and I was like, when was the last time like TCU went into a game and just had to legitimately outcoach somebody and won? It was that Michigan game. Like we haven't done it in 3 years. This coaching staff just doesn't know how to get grit, resolve, consistency out of any of these guys. And it makes me feel sad because it was like Josh Hoover came out and had a bad game. Like he made some really critical errors, but because we're so poorly coached, he's not set up. Like he has to put the entire team on his back in order to save this program. And it just felt like these two losses this year was like last year with UCF, where we had the lead and then just lost it late, just allowed it to slip through our fingers, which was the ASU game. And then the Houston game last year, where it's like we played a team that we are way better than, and they just like beat the teeth in. Like this final score does not look anywhere, is not anywhere close to how that game felt. Like TCU had to kind of start coming back at the end to even keep this one close. Who do I like in this game? I'm still going to go TCU. It just seems like that's the one thing that's constant about this program is even when like we're having bad seasons, we still beat Baylor. And especially a year after a loss, we will probably beat them. And we are at home. Like probably in our last, I know it's 8-2 in our last 10 matchups. It should have been 9-1 because Max Duggan was in. So I am going to go TCU minus the 3.5. I think they win big versus Baylor.
Yeah, Baylor's defense isn't it either. And I think
they're bad. They're really bad.
I think the way to really make this TCU team uncomfortable is play against just a moderate defense to like you said, put the offensive linemen at a little bit of pressure. And we love talking about Hoover, but like this guy is prone to mistakes. He throws a lot of bad throws and interceptions. And if you can get some pressure on him as a defense, I think that's really how you do it. And I think that Baylor's defense will allow TCU to cater to their strengths. Gets one more week to get Kavorian Barnes back healthy. Eric McAllister.
He looked great versus K-State, and we just didn't run him. It makes no sense how this game plan comes together. Like, Kavorian Barnes was the only thing that was clicking, and we barely gave him the ball.
Yeah, and like McAllister had 2 long touchdowns, so like
at the end of the game, we still didn't get him involved early. Like that's the problem. Is like McAllister going into the third had barely touched the ball. We were throwing it to like our 5th string freshman on a middle slant every time. It was like, oh, 3rd down and 7. What is Kendall Briles going to cook up? It's going to be a middle slant from the slot receiver. It's so ridiculous how bad our game planning is.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, obviously those were 2 guys that were hurt and they're working their way back. And I think that just another week is just them more healthy. And I think that TCU at home is going to cover the spread here. But trust me, there was a lot of parts of me that before this pick, I was trying to find whatever way I could to pick Baylor. I just don't think logically the defense can do it.
Damn. When you're trying to make the pick for Baylor to, probably help, appease the father-in-law a little bit, and you still can't find anything.
Had nothing to do with that, but
or at least to troll Blake. Let's move on to our next game. Moving on to our SEC matchups. It's the Missouri Tigers, 5-1 overall, 3-3 against the spread. Heading to Auburn, the Plains, to take on the Tigers, 3-3 overall and against the spread. Mizzou, a 1.5 point favorite here. You can find this one 6:45 p.m. Central on the SEC Network. Jameson, who do you like?
Everyone's going to see this and be like, oh, easy Missouri pick. But wait, this is weird. Why is Auburn so close here? Is this going to be a trap game where Auburn finally gets their win? They're at home. They looked good at Georgia versus Georgia at home. I just don't know what I think much about this Georgia offense, to tell you the truth, to really put much pressure on Auburn. Auburn didn't show me anything different last week that made me think, oh, this is a different team that I've seen at the beginning of the year. Continues to be Jackson Arnold throws safe balls, doesn't get much to his big receivers that really go out there and shine. And then Jackson Arnold gets in the end zone with his legs and continues to fail to do anything with his arm. I think Missouri is a team that if you watch the game versus Alabama, you might think like, oh yeah, they failed to cover. That was their game to win. But in reality, there's a lot of parts of that game that I really like Missouri. They continue to be a team that has surprised me this year. So I'm going to take the bait and I'm going to continue to pick Missouri here because I just don't think that this trap pick Auburn is really something that I want to put my money into. Wait, I'm not putting my money into it. This is just not financial advice. Put my pick into.
Yeah, this one's a stinky special because it's so close for a Missouri team that has actually looked pretty decent. Like Jameson did say it well, like versus Bama was an absolute blowout. It's like just because Bama covers the spread doesn't mean like that game was like anywhere far. Like Bo Pribula I didn't think played great, but they were still able to keep it close. And Auburn, it's like everything's still impressive. And the stat, like that's just hilarious about how bad Jackson Arnold is. He is out of all the SEC starting quarterbacks, he has the worst QBR of all of them, and he still hasn't thrown a pick this year. That shows you kind of how bad you have to be. Like if you're not giving the ball over and you still have the worst QBR in the league. It's part of me. It's like the talent. It's the Florida paradox. It's like the Florida paradox. It's like they're really bad, but you know they have the talent that they're gonna beat one of these teams. They have to like pluck off one of these teams, and I think I'm gonna do it. It's Auburn. Auburn. They have to pluck off one of these bad, like kind of middling SEC teams. They have the talent. They are ridiculously talented, and it's Jackson Arnold's so bad though. He's so bad. Yep, I'm going Auburn. I'll go Auburn. Way too talented. Defense is great. Like they have a great defense. Just their offense really sucks. It's their pass game is, I think, probably bottom 5 of Power 5 teams, Power 4 teams. It's really bad. I'm trying to think of other teams that just even come close. But
if it wasn't for Cam Coleman, it'd be way worse.
And their whole wide receiver room's talented. I think it's just at the point where Hugh Freeze is completely schematically just handcuffed it, where they don't. Trust enough.
He's definitely Jackson Arnold. He's telling the play call in Jackson Arnold's ear, like before the play, and it's just telling him the reads to make and where to throw it. Like I just feel like this is as close to Hugh Jackson pulling like an avatar and taking over somebody's body and trying to like make this work, because they're not letting Jackson Arnold make a decision, which is good.
Yeah, for me, it's like Blake said, it is the Florida paradox. That's the perfect way to describe it, because you just know that this Auburn team should lose to basically everyone left on their schedule, but they can and will beat one of them at some point. Like they just have that enough talent on their team. So that worries me. So for me, I have to do something unconventional and I have to pick on the mascots. And you will say, what do you mean? They're both tigers. But Auburn has a tiger, but they also have an eagle that they say is quote unquote not their mascot, but he is a live golden eagle who flies around at the games, which is like they literally say he is not the mascot, and then they just describe the very definition of a mascot to describe him, and that's a golden eagle. But then they also have a bald eagle, apparently. That sometimes
does anyone know what he's going to pick after this thus far?
No, you do. It's going to be very clear. So they have a tiger, but the tiger is not good enough. So they also have a golden eagle, but then they realize that that's the second best eagle. So they also have a bald eagle who is official, but not a mascot, and also not official. Their webpage explaining the official lore of their mascots is very confusing. So I go to Missouri. And I say, what in the world is Missouri going to name their tiger? Probably something silly. Their tiger is named Truman the Tiger, not after an alum of the University of Missouri, but after a famous Missourian, Harry Truman. And I thought, oh, well, that's interesting, because I don't know if you guys know this. This is not like this is going to sound like a bit straight up not a joke. No human in the history of the world has ever been more powerful than Harry Truman was on September 2nd, 1945. That is the day the Japanese surrendered. No, listen to me. It's the United States was over 50% of the global GDP. Another 30% of the global GDP was dependent on the US. Harry Truman controlled 70% to 80% of the global GDP, was the only person with nuclear weapons, had the largest, most powerful military ever assembled, could have done anything with it. Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, Genghis Khan, all of these people could not imagine the power that Harry Truman had, and he used it to rebuild the world. Harry Truman the Tiger, is going to rebuild my record on this podcast. Give me Mizzou minus 1.5.
Ty, whenever he is old and he's telling his grandchildren stories, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Well, let me tell you about 1945, September 6th.
One of my favorite things about Harry Truman is that after he's done with the White House, he and his wife just drove back home to Missouri.
It's because he was actually extremely poor. He made like no money as a politician, and it's why presidents have like a pension now.
Yeah.
It's another Harry. I know a bunch of Harry Truman facts.
Yeah, that's my dad's favorite president, actually. So, anyways, about the football game, I get it. Auburn definitely feels like a team that's like, when is this going to click? When is this going to come together? But I feel like I know what's going to happen in this one. Decently close game. something bad happens to Auburn. They melt down, blame the officials. Missouri wins. Give me Mizzou to cover. Like Auburn just doesn't mentally have it. The coaches don't have it. Players, they blame everyone. The fans, they blame everyone. You know, the second something goes wrong in this game, it's going to be, oh, it's happening again. Those folks in Birmingham are trying to screw us over. Blah 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 blah. It's just going to happen. It's just going to happen. That's Auburn football for you at this point. And the Hugh Freeze experiment, it's over. All in, you know, all but name only. The Arnold experiment, it's over. Missouri, I feel like it's a really, really solid, really good team here. They go on the road to Jordan-Hare, get a win.
We have picked the same. Me, Bobby, and Ty picked the same picks thus far, and Blake has been on an island for 3 of the 5.
That's scary as hell, actually.
And one of those, he knew he wanted to be with us too, but to take a stand off
The Arizona State one, I don't know what I think about, but okay, we can move forward.
The Arizona State one is very much feeling like it's feeling like Ty's Missouri pick last week, kind of, where it's like, oh, he's toast. I don't know why he did this, but we'll see how it goes. It could be like Jameson. It could be like your Utah pick last week, and Blake had, hits a home run there.
I felt great on that one. I'm surprised.
Okay, there is some important context that is being left out about what happened. Post that spread.
Utah still would have beat
fair.
Sam Leavitt by what they win 42-10.
Okay, Mr. SEC, playing games on paper and not on the field. We didn't see that game. We don't know how it would have turned out.
Okay.
Oh, fair enough. Let's move on to our next game. It's the third Saturday in October. The 11th ranked Tennessee Volunteers, 5-1, 3-3 against the spread. Falls. It's coming. Time's coming. It's about time for that week, guys. It's a couple weeks away. We need to start firing off our anti-Tennessee takes. If you have any of them, maybe. I'm kidding. They're heading to Tuscaloosa to take on the 6th ranked Alabama Crimson Tide, 5-1 overall and against the spread. Bama favored by 7.5 here. You can find this one 6:30 p.m. Central on ABC. This one, I'm not sure what to think of Tennessee. I think at home they're a solid team. They're a good team. I like Aguilar, but I feel like they're just kind of inconsistent at times. I feel like we've seen them, kind of fiddle around with Mississippi State. They did not look very good against Arkansas, and I guess we obviously can't call them the Pitties anymore, Blake. I don't know. I don't know. Like it's a little less fun, I guess, with them. I don't know. We'll have to workshop that. The fighting Petrinos. But I feel like if this is a big rivalry, one that Alabama has typically dominated, especially in Tuscaloosa. It's obviously a massive game for them. And Kalen DeBoer has these guys rolling. The black hoodie of death, all of that. Like this Alabama team's for real. And they're awake, they're locked in. And for a massive top 15 matchup, rivalry game at home, I don't see them losing. And I definitely don't see them I think they'll win this one decently comfortably. So I'm going to go Alabama -7.5 here.
Yeah, I keep it short. I like the Tide in this one, 7.5. Going home, Tennessee. Obviously, that Georgia game could have gone otherwise, but they have looked a little suspect. And yeah, I think Alabama just has too many things going for them right now. And in this specific game, I think Tennessee may be a little inflated on the record. Again, very easily could be undefeated top 3, top 4 Tennessee. Don't get me wrong. But any given Saturday, I think this Saturday, Bama takes it by at least 7.5 at home at night. Great game. Super excited to watch this one.
Yeah, I think Tennessee's been sputtering because they knew that they were in a down part of their. Oh, I completely skipped. Sorry,
Blake's calling this game. Blake's calling the game. So he's gonna be in the booth with Kurt.
Damn, well, I think I just gave away my tell. But go ahead.
This one I think is the easiest pick on the board. Bama. Tennessee's Tennessee's offense moves way too quickly to keep them into games that are against competent teams. This defense, I think it's going to look similar to kind of that Tennessee-Georgia game. Like, Georgia's offense really isn't that great. They're still on the road, able to just pin just like close to a 50 burger on them. I think Ty Simpson is a fantastic quarterback. I think he is the best in the country. I just think Bama too, like even the last few weeks, I feel like they've left a lot of points on the board, or on the field, sorry. They've just like, I feel like the red zone stuff hasn't been as crisp and clean as I would like. And if they can resolve those issues, I think they just become like a truly, truly dominant team. But yeah, like Tennessee doesn't stand a chance in this one. I feel bad. They're just going into Tuscaloosa. It's especially, yeah, Bama's just going to roll them. So give me Bama.
Yeah, sorry, I got ahead of myself. I knew I was going to be on an island with this one, and it's not going to be a popular pick because Alabama's stocked up. I understand.
Stinky!
I know. But I think that Tennessee was truly looking ahead because this was a part of their schedule where they could. They play Mississippi State and Arkansas, two of the three worst teams in the SEC. Probably you could say that, and not get too many arguments about it. I think Alabama, while they have looked really good, and you're right, Ty Simpson is getting it to his wide receivers, and he's got a stellar wide receiver room. Jam Miller is in concussion protocol. I'm sure he'll get cleared but obviously at the same time, like this is be a week of no practicing essentially, or unlimited practicing for Jam Miller, and like they really want to like kind of lean on the run game, and you can tell whenever Jam Miller's going, their offense completely opens up, and whenever the run game's not, it doesn't. I really think Tennessee's going to pull some things off here. I think they can keep it close enough, make it a fun enough game that I think the 7.5, especially with that hook, I really look forward to seeing Joey Aguilar and put up some points and put Alabama in a fun position. So I'm going to go Tennessee here.
All right. On Rocky Top Island there. Moving on to our next game. It's a 10th ranked LSU Tigers, 5-1, 3-3 against the spread. Heading to Nashville to take on the 17th ranked Vanderbilt Commodores, who are 5-1, 4-2 against the spread. Believe it or not, Vandy, a 2.5-point favorite at home. You can find this one 11 a.m. Central on ABC. Jameson, who do you like?
And Vandy should be a higher favorite than 2.5, man, dude. It's Vanderbilt. Like LSU, every single week we look at this team and we're like, when are they they're eventually going to show out. That offense is going to show something. They covered the spread by a 0.5 point versus South Carolina, but that wasn't because their offense. Nussmeier continued to throw 2 interceptions. Durham came back and like did moderately okay, but it's just like, I'm not really excited, especially with LSU, like having like, injuries in their wide receiver room. Like, I'm just not excited about this offense. Vanderbilt at home for big games. Like, they show out. They really do. And I'm really excited about this team with Diego Pavia to really put LSU in some bad positions early. Like Vanderbilt has been doing a really good job of playing big calls at the beginning of the game and getting out to an early lead as of recently. I really think that Vanderbilt could run up the score quickly. And you look at halftime and you're like, it's 21-3. I think something weird could go down like this. I like Vanderbilt.
I think this is tough. It's another just the conference. The SEC this year is basically just a whole bunch of teams. It's the Florida paradox. A whole bunch of teams that are not actually playing up to their talent capability and what they have on these rosters. That it feels like there's about 3 or 4 of these teams that I'm like, they are way better than everything that I've seen on the actual field. And it's teams like Vandy, it's teams like Ole Miss, the ones that are actually winning the games that I'm like, they are way over soaring their actual talent that they have. And I don't know where that puts me for this game. Part of me is like the Pavia thing keeps burning me. The LSU's defense is what keeps them in it. That defense is an elite unit. And I think it's by far the best defense that Vanderbilt will have played this year. I think it causes issues with Pavia. And we kind of saw that in the Bama game. Like it was that kind of gave them fits. He did not look good against like a pretty decent defense. So I think LSU does enough to rattle him. I don't think this home field advantage is all that much in Nashville, sadly. I think it's probably going to be half and half. A lot of LSU fans traveling in just because it seems like that's what has always happened in Vanderbilt. So I'm going to go LSU. The offense is not inspired confidence, but this defense I think is good enough to give them fits that maybe they can keep it close, maybe win last second. I don't know. It just feels like the funniest thing is Brian Kelly making the playoffs this year with like a house of cards LSU team that just like immediately gets blown out. It's like finally kind of taking them back to the promised land, but a team that we've seen is just has not put a sexy brand of football out on the field. So I'm going to take LSU.
We're halfway through the season. When do we give up on this kind of, they were supposed to be good?
I know that. I know that.
We do this with all sports all of the time. The idea, the preseason rankings of what they were. And it's like LSU has consistently shown us that they've just been just like blah, right? Like, have we shown anything from their offense? Have we seen anything from their offense to get us excited this whole season? I don't see a single value from any of their 6 games.
Well, and even that, like LSU's for like their best win at the time, especially that road win at Clemson, looks not nearly as good now after what Clemson just just nose diving almost immediately after. So it's not exactly like it's a combination of preseason hype and that just massive win early that has really aged like milk, really.
And they did the same thing in that. Like LSU had 3 points at halftime in that game. Like it continues to show. And I mean, the idea of LSU's offense is cool, but it's like, but I get it. I don't know. I just think that was a fun talking point. So sorry to kind of bring that into it.
Because it is. But that's the thing about college football too, is I think if you're talking about an NBA team, you kind of like automatically by the middle of the season, you abandon those preseason expectations. But because of how college football, how few data points, how the data points that you're doing can be vastly different, like than what we think. It's like these teams can have played nobody up until this time, or they could have played everybody up until this time. Like it's just like it's hard to take value of the data points when you have to like value each
You've
one.
got a little bit of everything versus LSU. They played a South Carolina team at home that I don't really think much of. They played an Ole Miss team on the road. They played a Florida team at home. Like they played a Clemson team at the beginning of the season. Like I feel like we've gotten a little bit of everything here. But I get it. I could see. Here's the thing. You're right. LSU's offense could pop off. They really could. They have much higher ceiling in this game.
But even if they're average, I think the key there is the defense. LSU's defense is so good that if like Diego Pavia looks how he looked against Bama, like LSU definitely stands a chance to upset him. Like definitely.
Yeah, I agree with you. This will be a fun game to watch.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ty.
Ty, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think I'll keep it quick. This game to me, I feel like this is one to talk to your friends or like your new friends and things like that about and see what talking points they have. Because to me, this one tells you so much about how someone thinks about college football and how they evaluate games. Because if you're someone that just weights brands and number of names that you're looking at this and you're like, this is the easiest pick ever. Give me LSU. But if you were to be given all of the data and you didn't know who was who, and you just got all of the player performances, the records, who they had played and stuff, I don't think you're confused as to why Vandy is favored in this one. But if you have that, not even the preseason bias about LSU being one of the best teams in the nation, if you just have that historical brand bias of Vanderbilt versus LSU, I think it's very challenging to understand why this game is what it is. Even looking at Diego Pavia, because you look at Diego Pavia and you're like, okay, that's like, he's good, whatever. Like, he came from a conference where he wasn't playing anyone. And look at their schedule now, right? Like their best win is a South Carolina team that's now unranked, but they've performed well in every game. So I think this is certainly a winnable game for Vandy. And I just don't know. I don't know that I pick Vandy right all year. So I have this idea of what I think it's going to be, but then I feel like I should go the opposite because I've just been wrong on so much all year.
Just go with your head. Pick what you want.
You guys know what kind of fan I am. Give me them Tigers. Give me LSU. Look, here's the thing. The only game they lost, their star defensive player was throwing up and also happened to be hanging out with the other team's head coach prior to the game. Like, come on. What kind of coincidence is that? Like, I guarantee that at that household, they had a second pitcher of sweet tea to give that to Whit Weeks and give him the special sweet tea. And that's why he was throwing up during the game. Give me the Tigers. Not big, but Vandy is one of those rare SEC teams where the students and the people who live nearby have maybe better options than to go to the game. So go ahead and give me some Tiger Boys.
Yeah, I mean, I think to me it's a massive game for Vanderbilt. These two teams hadn't played often by any means in the old system, with the East and the West. But, to echo, what Jameson is saying, to use an old adage that too many people use, but is very true. When a team tells you what they are, you listen. And I think LSU is not an explosive offensive team by any means. I know their running game slightly improved the last week, but overall, LSU, I think you just kind of are who you are to some degree. I think Vanderbilt, I mean, they're the real deal. In terms of being a legitimate team, I don't think this is a weird fluky line. I'm with you, Ty. There are going to be some people who see the results and aren't paying attention to the point spreads and think this is a massive upset. But like I've said, I'm not in the fading Diego Pavia business. Obviously, that Alabama game, it looks worse on the scoreboard, but you forget that Jam Miller last second fluky, like bad beat ass run. Vandy had their moments in that game. I feel like Nussmeier and that LSU defense, offense is going to give Vanderbilt some really good positions here. I like Vandy to win a really tough fought, good game here and cover the 2.5.
Yeah, this could spiral. We've been waiting for LSU to spiral. Like they go Texas A&M, Alabama after this too.
Yeah, it could get really bad for Brian Kelly here. It could get really, really bad if they do not change what we've seen. If this back half of LSU isn't significantly different than the front half, I would. There's a chance Kelly's gone. Like that's how bad things could get out of hand here, especially with that fan base.
You know what's wild is that if all these coaches get fired, like if Kelly and Franklin, they immediately become some of the best coaching hires that you could make if you don't have a coach. Like, that's what's so funny about it. Like, I think James Franklin, like, although he might not be a good fit for Penn State, a lot of programs would love a James Franklin as their head coach.
He's probably the first call for the majority of the openings right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I just can't believe. You guys really think OU is going to lose to a random coordinator or something coaching LSU?
I think that the players mean a lot more than the coach.
I would agree with that. But not all.
I know Jameson feels that way.
Hey, Nick,
we know what you meant. We know what you meant, but I would agree with that, Bobby.
All right, let's move on to our next game. We've got the 5th-ranked Ole Miss Rebels, 6-0, 4-2 against the spread, heading to Georgia between the hedges to take on the Bulldogs, ranked 9th in the country, 5-1 overall, 2-4 against the spread. UGA favored by 7.5 at home at Sanford Stadium. You can find this one 2:30 p.m. Central on ABC. Tough game. Here's my thing. Trinidad Chambliss starting this game. We like Trinidad. We're pro Trinidad here. This is his first road game. And, Sanford Stadium, I think when they get up for a game, they can really get up for a game. Georgia is they aren't the dogs of old where they can just steamroll teams. I totally get that. I just like Georgia here in a revenge spot at home. I think Ole Miss, that they've done well, but they've done well at Vaught Hemingway. They've done well at home. On the road, different story. I think this is a tough game for them. I think Georgia gets a really, really big statement win here. So give me the dog 7.5. But I think this is a tough game. This is that hook is gnarly. That little 7.5 hook. but I like Georgia.
Here's what I want everyone, and I'm not saying I'm a ball nowhere, but I think you should ignore that little number next to Ole Miss, and you should ignore that logo and that name with Georgia. And you should look at, this is a conference game. This is that cherished 2:30 SEC game slot. And then you should look at what these teams have done. And yes, Georgia has had some stinker games. They should have lost Tennessee, right? They were pretty uninspiring against some of the other teams that they've played. Alabama, obviously, they lost that one. Auburn, they didn't look super, super dominant. But if you look at the teams that Ole Miss has played, yes, they've beaten an LSU team that we just talked about, and the things that happened with that. That was at home. That was big hype environment. A lot of change happening at Ole Miss with, Trinidad Chamblay, however you say it, starting. But they played Georgia Tech, Kentucky, Arkansas, who fired their coach, who they barely beat, I might add. Tulane, LSU. That's a quality win. I'm not going to diminish the LSU. And then they barely beat Washington State. I just, as much as Georgia has taken a step back, and as much as people want to believe in the Ole Miss hype, Ole Miss has not faced a team like this, especially in a road environment like this. Hook worries me, but absolutely dogs all day in this one. I think it's going to show people a lot about this Ole Miss team, and I think everyone's going to walk away from this going, yeah, that's the Georgia we thought we had this year. So go ahead and give me the dogs to be barking at 2:30 p.m. Central Time on ABC.
Yeah, this is a stay away game for me. Both of these teams I just think have major flaws. I think, or Ole Miss, maybe not a major flaw per se. I just don't think the number next to their name is representative of how actually good this team. Like, they're probably more in like the teens when it comes to best college football teams in the nation. And then Georgia has just been shockingly kind of disappointing. Like, I know they weren't going to be Georgia of old coming into the season where they were going to completely run through the SEC just because their advantage of being able to stack talent similar to Bama has gone with the NIL. It's gone, but they can still recruit well enough that they just out-talent most teams. And I haven't really seen them just like put their foot on somebody's throat and just stomp on them. And it's because of that offense. Like, Gunnar Stockton is not a good quarterback. I understand the relationship was probably done with Beck in Georgia. Like, even if Beck kind of wanted to stay, I don't think that would have happened. But I thought like Georgia was just foolish for letting him just run away. Like, hey, he had problems, but he was still a better quarterback than Gunnar Stockton. I don't know. And then it worries me. Trinidad just comes out against Washington State. I know probably in a look ahead spot, but he looks like a D2 quarterback. Like, he looked like he was a D2 transfer. I'll take Ole Miss 7.5. The hook is too much for me. I don't see this Georgia team really separating. They couldn't separate against Auburn last week. They couldn't separate against Tennessee. Like, I don't know. It's just underwhelming. They just feel like they're not Georgia of old. And so I'm not just going to buy in at Georgia of old prices where it feels like I think these teams are probably on a neutral field about similar. Like, I think they're probably pretty similar. So I'll take Ole Miss.
Yeah, I think at first glimpse here, I looked at this and I said, I want to fade Georgia with a big point spread because I feel like they're just a team that will muck it up. They'll keep it close. They'll win, but they won't cover this game. And then I started to think about it. I was like, let's break down the opponent. Let's not completely just make this pick based solely off of Georgia. What is my interpretation of Ole Miss? Now, I feel like a lot of people brought in the hype. Their notoriety, their ranking jumped up after that LSU win. But you just heard me spend a significant amount of time on this podcast talking how much do I actually believe in that LSU win being a big win. And it was at home. They kept it close. And I think when it comes down to it, I don't know how much that's going to be weighted right now in my personal rankings in my head. And at the same time, Bobby said it too. Like, Chambliss has shown out to be really good, but he's gotten to do it in his comfort zone. Going to Georgia is not your comfort zone versus those kind of guys. I think that they're there are going to be some plays where Chambliss does really well. And we're going to be like, oh, this is the guy that we are much better than Austin Simmons, but he's going to have some growing pains. And I think a couple of those plays may get us a backdoor cover in this Georgia game. So I think it might be a little mucky, a little bit ugly, but I think that in the third and fourth quarter, like Georgia has been doing, and like they did versus Auburn, I think that they can cover the spread in the second half. So give me Georgia at 7.5.
Yeah, like a cheeky field goal, something to just kind of scoot you ahead.
Exactly what they did versus Auburn.
Yeah. Keep in mind, Ole Miss has played one road game this entire season, a 30-23 win against Kentucky with Austin Simmons at the helm. So
yeah, I take that team with Austin Simmons, and I don't even play it into what I think of Ole Miss anymore. I like Austin Simmons was pitiful.
I want him to be good. He's still so young too.
Yeah, and like it's a true freshman quarterback in the SEC. Like these guys, I can call him pitiful, but he can change. He can change next year.
Yeah, people can change.
Wait, how in the world did Ole Miss finagle 8 home games and then one of their away games is like an hour away in state?
Oh, it's so easy. Like
what a tremendous that's a tremendous fan experience.
With the way SEC's scheduling now with 8, you can easily, I feel like, get to that number.
Yeah, a lot of it's your non-con. They didn't really do much at all.
Yeah, they never do. They never do. They were Cignetti before Cignetti existed. Ole Miss was always just having the most breezy non-conference schedule.
That big game gets the Citadel now. Well, it's really so they get this brutal stretch of at Georgia, at OU, but that doesn't atone the rest of it. So anyways, let's move on to the game that we're all very excited to talk about. The 14th ranked Oklahoma Sooners, 5-1 overall, 3-3 against the spread, heading to the Palmetto State to take on the South Carolina Gamecocks, 3-3 overall and against the spread. Sooners, a 5.5 point favorite on the road here. You can find this one 11:45 a.m. Central on the SEC Network. Jameson, did you know this game is also being played outside of the State Fair of South Carolina? Apparently, this weekend. The State Fair of South Carolina is in the parking lot of this game. Apparently.
Wow, I need somebody to tell me how actually. Is that a good state fair? Is it a fun state fair?
Well, it's being played in the parking lot of a stadium and is apparently not affecting.
I imagine it's Oklahoma level.
There's no big Carolinian waiting for you. I don't even know what that would look like.
That is huge. Actually, that is really fun.
It's just Cam Newton. Their version of Big Tex is just Cam Newton. That's funny.
Yeah, I guess I'll start here. So I think evaluating this game, you see OU's line growing up to 5.5. And that makes me a little bit nervous as an Oklahoma fan, to tell you the truth. I'm not betting this game. Actually, I might. But I just said that out. But the brain pick on picking here, I mean, the money pick might be different. But picking on the spread, I think that you're having to put a lot into Oklahoma's offense here to get a 5.5. And I think what we've shown last week is the run game the whole year has been nothing, and it will continue to be nothing. I do not see anything from our past that is going to say, oh, we have some glimmer of hope. So that makes you a one-dimensional offense. And in an SEC play, that is good and really easy to scheme against. And then you say, can Mateer do that? Can they put the weight on his shoulders? I think that, Vegas and a lot of the algorithms that go into it, they might see what Mateer did earlier on in the season. They said, this is a type of dude that could do that. He could put the weight on his shoulders. But I think what it comes down to, and we talked a lot about this on our podcast this week, I think that whenever you're out of surgery, you take 17 days to respond and go and play in Texas, which is an accelerated pathway. You might be ready to play medically, but mentally, I think there's still a lot of things that he was working through, and it's going to be a slow ramp up to get him back to where he's feeling confident that he can make all those throws. And as soon as you have a little bit of indecisiveness in your way that you're playing, that's how you lead into interceptions and a guy that's already interception prone. I don't think we're going to see a complete shift to, oh, the material of old is back. It's going to be a ramp up. So I think he's going to improve in this game, but I don't know if it's going to be enough for us to cover the spread at 5.5. I think Oklahoma still wins. I think it's a fun, low scoring game with a couple of big plays both sides. And Oklahoma wins by 3.
I don't think South Carolina is anything special. I don't think they have a single special unit on that team. I think they are below average when it comes to the SEC. I think Lenore Sellers, yeah, he's a good projectable talent, but is he a good college quarterback that is actually going to lead you to wins? I don't think so. I think, put on my Boomer Blake hat, I think OU rolls them. I'm not too worried about Mateer. That's tough coming back from a surgery into that game, kind of with all the pressure on you. He just made some dumb mistakes. Sure, he's going to have mistakes the rest of the year, but I just feel he was a little rattled coming into that. Didn't look right. Not going to put too much weight into it. I think South Carolina's just not good. I just think when it comes to the SEC barometer of teams, they are just really bad. That offense, if we're talking about LSU being bad, we need to talk about South Carolina being just as bad as well. There's not their wide receiver core sucks. Their running backs suck. Lenore Sellers is really all they have. I'm just not worried about a South Carolina offense versus this great OU defense. OU played pretty terribly last week, and they were still in that game for most of it. And it's because that defense is good. So I'm putting all my chips into that OU defense basket. I just think they roll them. I don't see South Carolina keeping this close at all. I think they're just a really bad team.
I think that if you go back to my reason picking South Carolina here, did you realize I talked nothing about South Carolina's offense? I didn't. And it's not because of that. This is more of an OU pick more than a South Carolina pick.
And that's totally fair. I just can't. I'm not putting a hard-earned pick on the weekend spread on the South Carolina team ever again.
I'm watching the game with a Gamecock this weekend at a company retreat, so it's going to be dicey.
What is a South Carolina fan like?
No, I think pretty not like a Sooner, but I mean they're out here. I know.
What are their expectations? Because they're kind of the doormat. They're one of the teams that's the doormat of this league.
Well, it's funny you should ask Blake.
Was high.
It's funny you should ask Blake. I might have a 20-minute interview with one on our podcast, on our YouTube and podcast feed. Actually, it might just be YouTube, but it's actually a really good look. Talking with Brian Ralph, so make sure to check that out. Great college basketball mind too. But their mindset's interesting because I don't think I realized how bad they've been historically. Spurrier was the first one to actually really give them any sort of success for a long period of time, and I don't think I realized that. So the way he talked about his team, apparently some are already ready to get rid of Beamer, and he's like, that's just ridiculous. But I don't know, but in general, everyone I've met are cool. It's a standard, everyone you meet in person is always cooler than the online weirdos. I love you, online weirdos, but you know what I mean. So in person, everyone I've met has been pretty chill.
I will say, Blake, I've met a fair amount of South Carolina fans as well, and I'm struggling to think of a comp. I would say that weirdly, and this is going to be weird coming from an OU fan, but because Clemson has been so successful for the past over a decade now, all of the hardcore, crazy casuals are from the region are Clemson fans. So you really only have true believers at South Carolina. And it's almost if you could take the best elements of Iowa State and Oklahoma State fandoms, people like that and just extrapolate that out across an entire fan base. Obviously there's outliers, but I think South Carolina has a tremendous fan base. Weirdly, if I could go to 3 college football games or environments that I've never been to before, South Carolina would be on that list because the little tailgate trains, the stadium, it just seems awesome. So
shout
nothing
out to
but
the Cockaboos.
Yeah, nothing but positives to say about South Carolina. I did have a couple of quick notes though. OU's defense, number 2 in the nation right now. Very, 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 very solid defense. I think South Carolina does not get an offensive touchdown in this game. And if they do, it's because we let off the gas or some egregious error occurred. But I think that OU can go like kick 3 field goals and cover this spread. So I am not worried one bit about OU's ability to cover this one. Blake, for your situational awareness, this Saturday or Sunday, I did commit to doming a raw lemon in its entirety. If OU does not score at least a touchdown with extra points on offense, that is important. I did specify the extra points. So there is a scenario. I broke this out to Bobby and Jameson. There is a scenario where OU wins like 24-3, and it's like a pick 6, 3 field goals, a safety, and then like a touchdown, but we missed the extra point. And I still have to dome the lemon. So that is in play for everyone listening. Hold me accountable. And then Jameson said one odd thing that I wanted to address. Jameson is a trained professional medically. I am not, but he mentioned, Mateer having to put the team's weight on his shoulders. Personally, I'm more worried about Mateer putting weight on his thumb that had surgery, not worried about his shoulders, but I don't know. It's, the thumb bone's connected to the shoulder bone in some way. So listen to Jameson's advice. That being said, I have OU,
Bobby.
I have OU minus 5.5. He does, you see, because his profession is not a joke. The thumb bone is connected to the shoulder bone through.
I feel like you're trying to do the
two other bones. The lower arm bone, upper or left, depending on which way you're holding your arm. Well, the one that Mateer broke was the larger one at the base. That's the big thumb bone.
There you go.
Yeah, there
and
you
then
go.
you have
big
the distal
thumb
thumb. You have the distal
okay.
And this is the canine.
I'm hitting you with your around the horn mute mic button. No offense, Ty. But so
I was done. He asked me a follow-on question.
That is true.
There you go. That's true. Damn it, Jameson.
Give me negative points.
Fair. Yeah, I've been struggling with this one because on one hand, it's hard to see what you saw at the Cotton Bowl and feel any sort of optimism about this OU team. But on the other, the South Carolina team does feel like a good get back. Obviously you would rather have it at home and not on the East Coast, but 11:45 start time, their daubers down. They give up a lot of sacks. They're 15th in the SEC in sacks allowed. I wonder who 16 is. And this is a team that can really get after a guy. I think Sellers, obviously, you can't let him beat you, but I think the OUD line does enough to, force him to make tough throws, makes it hard for him to get the ball to Nick Harbor. Offensively, though, are you going to do enough to score against South Carolina? I kind of think they do. I think they can turn the Gamecocks over. I think they have an improved scheme. And I think Mateer's better. This is a sweat. Again, Jameson, this is one I don't think you really touch with real money. But this opened at OU 4.5, went down to 3.5. It's trending more towards the Sooners as the week's gone on. I like OU here on the road, but I don't love them. This is the game when we're going to find out if OU is a good team that had a bad day at the Cotton Bowl, or if the Cotton Bowl really exposed what OU is, which is a flawed one-dimensional team that needs a whole lot of help. So we'll see. But time for our favorite pick of
Bobby,
the week.
You pick who'd you pick again, Bobby?
Oklahoma.
Okay, I knew you were back and forth on it. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Why aren't the brakes working? Because I cut the brakes! Wild card, bitches! Yeah! What? Oh, God! Brakes, guys, I can't stop this man!
All right, it's time for the wild card picks where we make our favorite pick not on the slate. As you can see, little dicey for me, but you know what? There's a little light at the end of the tunnel. That's Ty at 6 or at 3-6. I'm at 2-7. He's in striking distance. I'm just saying, but the real story of it all, Jameson 7-0. an absolute wagon on the wild card slate.
How is this math adding up?
I don't know. I don't know, man.
Wait, no,
keep in
that
mind,
doesn't- that
keep in
doesn't
mind
matter.
this does include our pot of greed picks, which allow us to take
Yeah,
another
but
one.
why am I at 9 games? Jameson's at 7.
7.
Did you give him his Penn State win already?
I
No,
can't remember. I think
I should be
I
at
can't
4.
remember
Yeah.
how this worked
Who
out.
knows?
Sorry. Yeah.
I'm
Trash the records.
undefeated,
Trash the
and
records.
Bobby is only 1-2.
Yeah. I honestly probably forgot to give Jameson his 8th win. This is the thing.
But this is week 8, and we didn't have a wild card week 0.
Yes, but week
Good
0's existence means that this is the 9th.
I think I
Yeah,
I think
but we
I
did.
did bad. I did bad math here. I did bad math.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Don't hand count. Don't hand count to 9, Jameson, on the pod. Please.
I just don't. I've only picked 7 games. Whatever. Who cares? It doesn't
All
matter.
right,
Just
so yeah. Wild card pick. So here's my thing. So earlier, I kind of gave away who I was going to go with wild card wise before I shuffled the slate, and that was 6-0 Texas Tech, who's also 6-0 against the spread. I mentioned they were one of 2 teams to be undefeated against the spread and overall, and I've had my eye on this one for a while too as a backup. And after the news that came out this week, I'm definitely not passing up on it. Give me Memphis minus 22.5 in the Battle of the Bones against UAB. Fired coach means you're pretty much done. Means you've given up. I know there's usually a little bit of a bump there.
There will be
but
a
this-
bump, Bobby. There will be a bump.
I knew Blake
Yeah,
Gilbert was
coming.
so bad that if a
The
Russian
last-
plays them, there's a bump.
The last 2 teams to fire their coach immediately covered.
But I like Memphis. And I like the bones. Memphis are going to get the bones, and I think they're going to cover 22.5 here. I think UAB is a deeply flawed team, a deeply flawed program. You know what happened there is it's really rough and really frustrating. But this Memphis team, they've been a wagon all season long. I'm backing them here. I know it's a big line, but it's a rivalry game. Give me the Tigers.
I ate the bones.
I hate the bones. Ty.
Yeah, I love that trophy, the golden rack of ribs. I will say it does not photograph well, but if you look up like a video of it, it looks like it looks good in person. Well, it's a metal trophy, but I do hope, I didn't look this up this far, but I do hope they exchange like actual ribs as well. That would be really cool. But for me,
Oh, Ty, they have a barbecue cooking competition in the parking lot between the 2 schools.
that's
in
awesome.
addition to the so it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's great. And 2 absolutely storied programs in cities, Memphis and Birmingham. That's really cool. That's one of those where it's like it's not SEC, but it just means more to those people. That's awesome to see. My record, as you will see, is not great, although I think there is some fishy stuff going on there. But 2 of my losses now have come at the hands of a team that I have just underestimated because I'm a casual. Like I'll tell you guys right now, I'm a casual. I've said it every pod that I get the opportunity to. And I will pay attention to records and box scores and numbers next to names and big brand values. I wanted to pick Vanderbilt earlier, and I went with LSU because I couldn't overcome that brand thing. For me, I have been the past 2 weeks fading on my beloved, a team I actually like, the Air Force Falcons. I knew better. I knew better than to pick them against Navy. I knew that was a rivalry game, or I picked Navy, but I knew that was a rivalry game. I knew I should not have picked that double-digit line in that one. And I did anyways because I felt like I was obligated to. And then I certainly thought that they would be smoked by UNLV, and they performed well. And Air Force is 1-5 right now. They're 0-4 in the Mountain West. They're going to face the 3-3 Wyoming Cowboys, and they're favored. And that should tell you something. When a team that is 1-5 and winless in their conference this far into the season is favored against a team like Wyoming that has been fairly solid. But if you look at Air Force and who they've played, they beat Bucknell, right? Utah State lost, not super great, but 12 points to Boise State early in the season. 9 points to Hawaii, 3 points to Navy, 3 points to UNL, 4 points to UNLV. It's just one of those, like, they've been so close and they have continued to fight. They have not given up in any one of those games. So I believe in Air Force. I think they're going to get a win at home and turn their season around. I mean, it's too far gone now, but I think they're going to get a solid win at home against Wyoming, a team that is no slouch if we're talking Mountain West football. I think this is going to be a reach. People are going to say, why would I turn this one on? I think this one is worth tuning into and checking out at 2:30 Central if you need an alternate for that SEC 2:30 game.
I'm having a tough time. I've been sitting here just mulling over picks. There's about like 3 or 4 that I'm like kind of into. My first thought, just like looking over the slate, was like UNLV, Boise State. UNLV going to Boise, double-digit dog, and UNLV's look great. Like, they've looked really good this year. But I'm not going to go there. And then my other one
Do
was,
it,
no,
please.
Nope. I'm not going to go there. Next one was Florida. Saw the report that Billy Napier might be fired this weekend. And so I was like, he's going to win. He's going to win. Like, that's what Billy Napier does, is when his back against the wall, he wins. The problem is this time it says either win or loss. He's probably going to get fired. So I went off of that one. And so to stick with the theme of rivalry weeks, I'm going to finally do it. I'm going to get UMass to cover the spread once this
No,
year.
you are not.
UMass plus 17 in the newest cemented rivalry as of today, the Flagship Cup, because as described in the press release, these are the flagship universities of both of their states, which is just the biggest bold-faced lie I've ever seen. Like, sure, I guess you could make the case for UMass. I wouldn't, but at least it has University of Massachusetts as the state. But Buffalo, New York is definitely not the flagship of New York. Absolutely not.
Is it? Well, I don't think that's something you like people
do you get that
determine. It just is. Well, UMass is because it's the University of Massachusetts. The University of Oklahoma is the flagship because it's the University of Oklahoma.
So how can Buffalo be it?
Yeah,
it's probably the University of New York at Buffalo, and they go by Buffalo.
UMass has got Harvard and Boston and BC.
Yes,
Yeah, but those are private schools. Those are private schools. They can't be flagships.
Yeah, but when you say
like Boston College,
Boston College can't be a flagship because it's also private. You've got to be a state university, kinda. So I think actually technically Ohio University is the flagship of that.
Wait, is MIT private?
MIT, I imagine, is private. That's
private, yeah.
We're getting into some weeds here, but
UMass is not. UMass is no slouch, but they're not top 5, and in Buffalo is certainly not top 5.
I guarantee you, the full name of Buffalo is probably the University of New York at Buffalo.
Yes,
And
but
how is NYU
the flagship public university in New York is undoubtedly West Point. People are forgetting about that.
No, that's America's flagship university.
It's a public university. It's
America's
still
flagship.
a public school.
But it's different.
Yes,
It's a public school. It has a better football team. It has way better academics.
Yeah, no. What? Yeah. It's just the University of Buffalo, and its parent institution is the State University of New York.
Sunny.
So, it's the SUNY system. So I guess it's like,
come on.
what? So I guess it's like the main. I don't know, man. This is confusing.
This is making me feel better about my Buffalo pick.
This is
making me feel. You're telling me there's a rivalry called the Flagship Cup, and it's all based on flagship universities. I wouldn't say UMass probably is, but at least it has University of Massachusetts in the name.
Yeah, that one's straightforward. You know what I mean? Like
be esoteric knowledge, but this is like if you have to tell people, and it's probably not true. This is like when the F1 race in Azerbaijan was called the European Grand Prix, even though we all knew it was in Asia.
Yep, and it's sponsored by a caterpillar dealer in
Caterpillar.
Caterpillar.
a caterpillar.
So I'm gonna take them to the promised land. It's gonna feel so good when I get they were a favorite once this season. I think like a 14 or 17-point favorite, and they lost outright. So, and last week, I think the line settled at about 2 or 1, and they lost by 34. So this UMass team is bad, but they have to have one performance where it goes all their way just to lose by like 14. So give me UMass Minutemen plus the 17.
Didn't they just get murdered by Kent State?
Yes. Oh, they got absolutely. It was not even a game. And like Kent State is. I need to see the power rankings, but Kent State's probably right next to them at the bottom.
Jameson?
So, Blake, if you would have picked UNLV, I would have picked Boise because we have a long history of UNLV Boise head-to-heads, and it's usually gone in my way for Boise. That I'm pretty sure you had to drink Malort because of that bet once, which was a lot of fun.
Oh, we haven't broken out a Malort bet in a while.
Honestly,
We need to
probably for
implement
the best.
we need to implement mandatory for the postseason for some games.
yeah, I think UNLV's defense is absolutely atrocious, bad, really, really, really bad, and I think it could get ugly in Idaho. But I won't pick that one. I'm going to go something a little bit different, a little bit weird. And you're going to be like, why the hell is he doing this? But Blake, tell me what you think about this one. Give me North Texas minus 3.5 playing UTSA. And you're like, why? Why would I pick North Texas after I just watched what happened in that South Florida game? You know, Mestamaker was this guy who was supposed to be accurate, didn't throw any interceptions, and he goes and throws all these interceptions for South Florida. But just watching, like we talk about eye test a lot because like Vegas got the numbers, like we got the eyeballs. Like I did see some things from North Texas's. I understand their defense really, really let it up. But whenever you play a South Florida's offense, it's really easy to get behind and quick because of their pace of play. I think that North Texas, in terms of what they have at offense and being back at home again, I think they can rebound accordingly to a team in UTSA that lost to Temple. Oh my gosh, why is Joshua Block on my
World of
computer
T-shirt?
screen?
Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Get him out of here.
I think that this is a great rebound for a team that, while Blake, some of your speaking points last week about this North Texas team were right, and some of them were very wrong about South Florida. I think Mesty's got some good throws in them that I think that they can get up and put some big points on this UTSA team that might be overinflated just because they blew out Rice the week before.
I actually really like that pick.
No, I really like that.
Um,
My mind's not changed. We had that UNT first half was fantastic.
Yeah, but it's
First
because
half.
South Florida was just fumbling and bumbling all over the field,
It
giving them all the
was.
opportunities.
It
And
was.
as soon as they actually could like get a consistent, like they were rolling down the field every single time, and then when South Florida would get actually some momentum, then they'd fumble or then they'd throw an interception, and then they finally stopped turning the ball over, and then it was just like buffalo chicken after that, like it was done.
Yeah, Blake and I were at dinner, and our game or our TV that it was in front of us was on NFL Network for some reason. I went up to go to the bathroom, came back, and checked my phone on the way in, and seeing that USF had completely flipped the score, and was just beating down UNT. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to let them know.
And I told Bobby, it's like we had that first half. We'll always have that first half.
It felt pretty good. My South Florida Bulls, man, they're getting closer and closer to that over. And the next week,
They
Memphis.
are. They are going to soar over that over the moment they beat Boise and Florida. They were going to soar over.
Oh,
that
I
thing.
know, but I'm
Yeah.
saying next week versus Memphis is a hell of a game. Now, like that
Enormous.
is the thing that if that is not on the slate, we riot.
Oh, it's on the
Bobby's
slate.
going
It's
to
on
make
the
us
slate.
beg again. He's going to make us do little tricks and roll
No,
over and
no,
scratch
no.
his
You know, I
belly
like
in order to get this game on the slate. That's how it
Oh
works
my
here.
goodness.
But
Jesus.
any game
No,
he
no.
wants for his little political agenda, he'll just throw on it. So
Oh God.
God,
Get it,
God,
make it
no.
political. Make it political.
No. Look, South Florida, Memphis. Let's talk about week 9. As we wrap this up, South Florida, Memphis should be game day. Like that should be college
It
game
should.
day. It should be game
won't
day at
go
the
there.
Liberty Bowl.
Yeah, I don't.
it's SEC game day now. Let's be real here. Let's be real.
Oh,
Look,
no.
I'm just being honest. Like, because looking at this is a relatively kind of light week. I mean, it's actually not. It's not bad. but it's relatively light. So obviously OU fans know you got Ole Miss, OU in Norman, Missouri, Vanderbilt, and then you got Texas A&M at LSU. So like there are obviously some good matchups, but I think if you want to highlight college football, I think you actually have a really good argument for South Florida Memphis being a really cool matchup.
I bet you they do it.
They should do it. They should do it.
LSU
They've already
could
been to
win
LSU,
big.
right?
Not this year, right?
Oh. Well, they might lose if they lose the Vanderbilt this weekend. I think you could almost book it.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is they might pull some freaky stuff if Mizzou wins and then Vandy.
Yeah, that's
wins,
the problem. If Vandy
Mizzou
Mizzou wins,
they're both 6-1, and they have that talking point of Vandy with like a legit win, and then they get to go to Nashville. That's I hate to play into Blake's hand, but that's too hard to pass up.
Did they not go to Nashville last year?
That's a good question. I don't
for
know.
a Vandy game though.
Yeah, that's kind of well, yeah, for a Vandy game, but I mean, Vandy has been on game day technically. I think
it's true.
It should be intriguing.
It should be because that game will ultimately decide who's probably the G5 representative.
It should.
Yeah,
it's enormously important.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason that I think that they might not pick that game just because they had the Alabama Vanderbilt game day, and maybe it's just too much Vanderbilt. But
we need to highlight some G5 football.
Look, Galaxy Brain, they care about that playoff. What better way to talk about the playoff super, super early than to be like, this is a decider, you know?
Yeah. They should.
They should. It's good marketing.
Let's see if they actually do it, though. They've been up to some pretty shady things as of late. There's been a new scandal uncovered that ESPN Plus is intentionally running ads longer than they are on TV, so it bumps back the stream, so it's actually not live. So they're just fitting in more ads now and not showing you actual live play. So that's been
ESPN.
Oh no, we lost Blake's mic. What happened there?
Genuinely, what does that have to do with a game day location?
It's what ESPN. It's just streaming. I want to end them. They made me miss the first drive of OU Texas. I will never forgive them.
That's pretty.
We also, Jameson, I need to just get you a YouTube
Jameson,
TV.
that game was.
We gotta stop.
Yeah, wait, what? Yeah, how are you not
on TV? And you have 3 of them.
At least get you the bunny ears.
Yeah,
and it's so weird that Jameson is so weird that you're not a bunny ears guy. It's literally free TV.
Free.
Literally,
I will tell y'all what I do off the pod because I do not want to get cut.
What could you possibly
now
be
it sounds bad. Now it just sounds bad. I'm just using my parents' cable login.
Yeah, so, that's what a lot of people do.
Yes, but
you're not special.
Jameson thinks he's cracked the code of how to get
no. But what I'm saying is it's free. So why would I pay for YouTube TV? Get out of here.
Jameson's gonna be guys. Did you know you can get this thing called a VPN and get different series on Netflix?
We're gonna be if we ever get a NordVPN sponsorship, we will be like that. But anyways, look, great show, everyone. This was fun as always. Hard to believe we're starting to enter the back half of the season. You know, week 9 coming up, but we're gonna soak it up, have a good time, and next week should be fun. So make sure to subscribe if you like the show to see that. Helps us out. And until then, good luck, everybody. Boomer Sooner.